Hi, we're going to take a look at display states and seeing how we might be able to use them in drawings or just to manage our drawings a little bit. So just to jump straight in, just for a bit of fun to get away from the joinery, set up a tennis court here. So this is an assembly of tennis court, and this is made up of a number of parts on the side here. Tennis court, the players, and then 3 tennis balls in different positions. So just open the part of the tennis court. You can see here, this is the tennis court. Got some lines on here with the net. And I set up the display states down the bottom here. So we can have no lines, no net, no posts, and then one that's got clay, just to give it a different appearance. So you can see those are changing. So where are these? So normally when you're doing a modeling, on the left hand side here, you'll have your tree, and up the top here we've got various options, and if you work with configurations, you'll see the configuration manager, and display states is actually at the bottom of the configuration manager. So what we do is click on the configuration manager, and you can see this is where you would set up all your configurations, of which I've got none in this one. And then down below you've got display states. So you would by default have this default display state, which is the display state your model is in as you're modeling it. And then down below you can create some additional ones to give you some control over what you're seeing in your model, and then subsequently in your drawing space. And I'll show you how that works when we get into the drawing space. But it's really handy. I use it a lot now. I use it mainly for hiding and showing rather than appearances. The appearances part of it can be a little bit difficult to manage. We won't go into that, but it's okay. I've done it here and managed to put a clay court in, but it can be a little bit fiddly to manage with. I find that the hide and show element of it, so no lines, no net, I mean obviously you can do any variation of it, no posts, you can hide various bodies away. That's really handy. And when you're working with a display state, it's not actually changing your model at all. So your model remains exactly the same. We're now over into the model space. You can suppress things and do anything you want. It's literally just how you're seeing something. So we could go into no net, into the model space. You can see it's all here. We haven't lost the net. It's just not showing it. And if I was to go show hidden bodies, it would be here in the show hidden bodies. We have to remember that I'm working in that display state. So if I hide and showed something, it'll alter how it's displaying in this display state, whatever display state you're in at the time. So generally, while you're modeling, I would advise staying in the default display state, and then at some point, often I'll do it when I'm actually working on a drawing, go back to the model and create some display states. But sometimes when you get a bit better understanding how the models works, you might be thinking about how you're going to lay down your drawing and creating some display states as you go with the modeling. So how do we create a display state? Well, let's just say this one here, because we've done a few display states on this one. We'll close this one out. Let's go over to the players themselves. So we've got 2 tennis players here. They're a bit lazy. They're just cylinders. If I open up this part, you'll see that this is the modeling space. We go over to configurations. Display states are down here. So if I want to add a display state that maybe says I want to hide away the blue one, what I do is right click on the default display state, go add display state, and you'll see a second one appears down here, and whichever one we're highlighted in is the one we're working in. So this would currently be working in the default display state, and this would be in the addition one when I double click on this one. So I'm going to give it a name, so rename it. So I'm going to call this no blue player. And all we do then is, whilst we're in that display state, hide the blue player away. And that's it. It's as easy as that. Then when we go to the default and the blue player arrives, and go to this display state, and the player disappears. So that's really, really handy. Now, how does this help us when we get into the modeling, the drawing, the drawing stage of it? So we've got our assembly here. So you can create a display state in a part, which I've just shown you how to do, which hides away the bodies of that part. But you can also create another display state for your assembly. So once again, here we go. I've created one display state in this assembly, just showing the players hidden, which is similar to hiding the blue player. So there you go. I double click on that one. I'll double click on that once, but you can only in the assembly area hide or show a whole component or not a component. So you need to think about how you're modeling your components and how you might want to use them. But there are other tools you can use to manage if you just wanted to hide one body in the drawing state. So it's just another additional way of managing things. So let's go over to drawing. I've set up a quick drawing over here very, very quickly. So I've brought in the assembly from here. As you can see, normal way, go over here, pick the assembly, and we can bring in the drawing just by grabbing it, dragging it over here as you would normally. And you can see here we've got the assembly come in. I've actually done a detail off of it just so I can show you something else next. And this is the assembly that's been brought in. So in the assembly, like I've just shown you, if I click on this viewpoint, and if you pull down at the top here, you can see you've got configurations, right? So that's where you can change what configuration you're choosing if you've set those up. But if you remember, I've got players hidden here. So at the moment, I'm in the default display state, and it's showing absolutely everything. If I double click on the players hidden, then the players disappear. So it gives you that little bit of control over that assembly in particular. And just to give you an idea how it can then give you a little bit more power, I created this detail here. And you can see that even though I've created this detail and the player is shown here, it's not shown here. And the reason being is you can also control that individual view subsequently. So if I click on this detail view, you can see I've got that option yet again to go to the players hidden or not hidden. So if I double click the display state here to go to the default display state, you'll see that the red player returns. And if I go to this one here, the red player disappears, but it remains here because these are individually managed. And so just lastly, just to show you how, let's just pop back and open up maybe the tennis court again. So we've got that an option for the drawing. So this is the tennis court, as you remember. No lines, no net, no posts, clay. Once again, if we go over to the drawing space to rebuild, okay, let's go over to the drawing space. If we decide that we want to just bring in, say, just that part, so we've refreshed that part. Okay, there we go, let's give it some colour. There you go, you will see that as we've brought this in just a part, this is an assembly, this is just the part, we would be able to manage these displays states here by clicking on the view in the same way, and you'll see now we've got all these multiple display states here. No lines, no net, no posts, and clay. So hopefully it gives you that ability to deal with managing that. And you might say, well, what if I want no lines in my assembly, but I don't want to see, well, effectively my lines here, or a body, but what if I don't want to see them in my assembly, but I can't, if I go to, switching off or create a display state that hides away the whole of the tennis court, then I'm going to lose the net and everything else. So there are other ways you can manage that part of the drawing. You can click on the body so the lines, and go show hide body, you could hide that body away, and then effectively you get no lines. So you're sort of managing it in a different way. So there are ways of doing it, but creating some display states just gives you some overall control that might just create less clicks, I suppose. When you get into drawing space, if you set them up, it's quite handy. And what I would suggest is just to learn how to manage setting these up. Maybe, you know, do something a bit like I've done here with a set up a tennis court and some different coloured players and whatever. Just have a practice bringing them in, seeing how you can manage it, how it kind of all works, and then maybe try it out on some of your drawings. Anyway, I hope this has been useful. Hope it helps you click less and saves a little bit of stress, and I'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye.